The Amazon rainforest had always held secrets, but Dr. Maya Patel never expected to find one that would reshape humanity's understanding of the universe. The rain fell in heavy sheets, creating a misty veil through which her research team's equipment barely penetrated. They were tracking an unusual energy signature that had appeared 3 days ago, defying all known terrestrial explanations. "Dr. Patel, you need to see this." Rodriguez, her assistant, called out through the downpour. His voice carried an edge of disbelief that made Maya quicken her pace, careful not to slip on the wet undergrowth. When she reached him, the sight before her stole her breath. A clearing had been carved into the dense forest, not by human tools but by what appeared to be the impact of something massive. At its center lay a form that defied explanation, a being clearly not of Earth. The creature's iridescent skin shifted colors like oil on water, but Maya could see the pain in its movement. 3 pairs of eyes, arranged in a delicate spiral pattern, fixed upon her with an intelligence that transcended species. The being's form was vaguely humanoid but with notable differences: multiple jointed limbs that seemed to flow rather than bend, and what appeared to be crystalline structures protruding from its shoulders and spine. "Get the medical kit," Maya ordered, already moving forward. Years of xenobiology research had prepared her for the possibility of this moment, but the reality was far more overwhelming than any simulation. "But the protocols," Rodriguez began. "The protocols were written by people who never imagined this scenario," Maya cut him off. "Look at those wounds. It's dying." As she approached, the being made a sound, not quite musical, not quite speech, but something that resonated in Maya's chest like a forgotten memory. The translator device at her belt activated, trying to process the sound patterns, but produced only fragmented results. The creature reached out with one of its fluid limbs, touching Maya's hand. The sensation was electric, not painful but intense, like suddenly understanding a language you'd never studied. Images flooded her mind: a vast ship, a desperate escape, pain, and most predominantly, rejection. "I'm here to help," Maya said slowly, ensuring her body language conveyed her intent. "My name is Maya." The being's colors shifted to a deeper blue, and its response came as both sound and projected thought: "Lyra, they named me Lyra, before they cast me out." Maya's team had gathered around them now, their expressions a mixture of fear and wonder. She knew what would come next: the calls to authorities, the quarantine procedures, the endless bureaucratic nightmare that would treat this injured being as a threat rather than a victim in need of help. Dr. Patel, I'm calling it in, her security officer, James Kent, already had his satellite phone out. "Wait," Maya held up her hand. "Give me 5 minutes. Just 5 minutes to assess the situation." She turned back to Lyra, whose crystalline growths were dimming, a bad sign, she suspected. "Can you tell me what happened? Why are you here?" The response came in fragments, both verbal and mental: "Different, defective, cannot process, the light, they said I would contaminate, had to run." Each phrase seemed to drain more energy from Lyra, the colors of their skin fading to a dull gray. Maya's mind raced. Her career had been built on studying theoretical xenobiology, preparing humanity for eventual contact. Now, faced with the real thing, she realized all those papers and protocols failed to account for the most basic truth: life, regardless of its origin, deserved compassion. "I need to get you somewhere safe," Maya said, already formulating a plan. "Somewhere we can treat your injuries and understand what's happening to you. Will you trust me?" Lyra's response was weak but clear: "No choice, others, reject, different." The word different struck a chord in Maya. Throughout her career, she'd faced skepticism and rejection for her unconventional theories about extraterrestrial life. Her insistence that alien life might not fit into humanity's neat categories of understanding had made her an outsider in many academic circles. "Different isn't wrong," Maya said firmly. "Different is just different. And sometimes, different is exactly what we need." She turned to her team, seeing the conflict in their faces. They all knew the protocols: immediate containment, notification of authorities, full quarantine procedures. But they also knew Maya, knew her integrity and judgment. "Listen to me," she addressed them. "What we do in the next few minutes will set the tone for humanity's first official contact with extraterrestrial life. We can either treat Lyra as a threat to be contained, or as a person in need of help. I know which story I want to be part of." Kent lowered his phone slowly. "What's your plan, Dr. Patel?" "We have a fully equipped research facility 20 kilometers from here. State-of-the-art medical equipment, containment protocols if we need them, but also the freedom to help without immediate government interference." Maya looked at each team member in turn. "I'm not asking you to break protocol. I'm asking you to help me follow a higher one, the oath we all took to preserve and protect life, wherever we find it." Rodriguez stepped forward first. "I'm with you, Dr. Patel." One by one, the others nodded their agreement. Maya turned back to Lyra, whose colors had shifted slightly warmer, responding to the change in the group's emotional energy. "We're going to move you," Maya explained, both verbally and with gestures. "It might be uncomfortable, but I promise we're trying to help." As they carefully prepared to transport Lyra, Maya caught a glimpse of something in the alien's third set of eyes: hope, perhaps, or recognition of kindred spirit. Whatever challenges lay ahead, that glimpse made Maya certain she'd made the right choice. The rain continued to fall as they worked, nature's curtain providing cover for this moment that would change everything. Maya knew that once they left this clearing, there would be no going back. Her career, her reputation, perhaps even her freedom would be at risk. But looking at Lyra, seeing the intricate beauty of their different biology, Maya couldn't bring herself to regret her decision. This wasn't just about saving one life. This was about proving that humanity could rise above its fears and prejudices, that we could choose compassion over protocol, understanding over ignorance. As they carefully moved Lyra onto the transport platform, Maya realized she wasn't just giving the alien a chance at survival, she was giving humanity a chance to prove its worth among the stars. "Hold on, Lyra," she whispered, both to the alien and to herself. "This is just the beginning." The team moved through the rainforest with practiced efficiency, but now their usual rhythm was altered by the precious cargo they carried. Maya walked alongside the transport platform, monitoring Lyra's condition and maintaining what she hoped was a reassuring presence. The alien's crystalline structures pulsed weakly, like a fading heartbeat, but their colors had stabilized somewhat. Every few minutes, Lyra would project another fragment of their story, fleeing from their own kind, the painful journey through space, the desperate crash landing on Earth. Each image reinforced Maya's conviction that they'd found not just an alien life form, but a refugee, someone seeking sanctuary from persecution. As they approached the edge of the research facility's property, Maya caught sight of the security lights cutting through the rain. Soon, she would have to face the consequences of her decision. But for now, she had a life to save, a life that might just change everything humanity thought they knew about the universe and their place in it. The first chapter was ending, but Maya knew the real story was just beginning. In helping Lyra, she wasn't just defying protocol, she was defining humanity's first true test of interstellar compassion. The research facility's medical bay hummed with unfamiliar energy signatures as Maya worked through her third consecutive night. Lyra's crystalline structures had started deteriorating at an alarming rate, and conventional medical equipment struggled to even register their vital signs. "Their cellular structure is unlike anything we've ever seen," Dr. Marcus Wong, the facility's lead biochemist, muttered as he studied the latest readings. "The crystals aren't just decorative, they're integral to their biological processes." Maya nodded, adjusting the specialized containment field they'd modified to maintain Lyra's stable condition. "They mentioned something about not being able to process the light. I think these crystals are meant to absorb some kind of energy their species uses for sustenance." Through the observation window, Lyra floated in a suspension chamber filled with a nutrient solution Maya had engineered based on the molecular structure of their skin. Their colors shifted between deep purples and blues, which Maya had learned indicated pain and distress. Dr. Patel. The sharp voice of Director Elizabeth Harrison cut through the concentrated silence. A word, immediately. Maya exchanged glances with Marcus before following the director into the hallway. Harrison's perfectly pressed suit and severe expression contrasted sharply with Maya's disheveled appearance after days of non-stop work. "The board of directors is calling for your immediate removal from this project," Harrison stated without preamble. "Your actions in the rainforest violated every first contact protocol we have. You've put this facility, and potentially the entire planet, at risk." Maya felt exhaustion-fueled anger rising in her chest. "With all due respect, Director, those protocols were written by people who never anticipated finding an injured refugee. Lyra isn't a threat, they're a victim of their own people's prejudice." "You can't know that for certain," Harrison countered. "This could be an elaborate infiltration tactic. We have no way to verify their story." "Actually, we do." Maya pulled out her tablet, displaying a series of complex molecular scans. "These show genetic modifications at a cellular level. Modifications that appear artificial, deliberately engineered to prevent their body from processing whatever energy source their species typically uses. This wasn't an accident, it was done to them." Harrison's expression softened slightly as she studied the data. "Even if that's true, we're not equipped to handle this. The military wants to transfer them to a secure facility, where they'll be treated as a specimen rather than a person," Maya argued. "Director, think about what this moment means. We're not just dealing with first contact, we're dealing with the first indication that advanced species face the same social issues we do. Prejudice, fear of difference, persecution of minorities. How we handle this will define humanity's place in the galactic community." A soft chime from Maya's communicator interrupted them. Marcus's voice came through, tense with urgency. "Dr. Patel, you need to see this. Lyra's awakening, and, well, you should just come see." Maya rushed back to the medical bay, Harrison close behind. Through the observation window, they saw Lyra's crystalline structures emitting a soft, pulsing light. The aliens' colors had shifted to a mixture of gold and silver, a combination they hadn't seen before. "Maya." Lyra's telepathic voice was stronger than before. "Maya, show them." Understanding flooded through Maya as images filled her mind. She rushed to the computer terminal, fingers flying over the keyboard as she accessed the facility's quantum imaging system. On the main screen, a three-dimensional model of Lyra's genetic structure appeared. "Look at this," Maya pointed to specific sequences. "Their species uses crystalline structures to absorb and process specific wavelengths of energy. Lyra's structures were modified to reject those wavelengths, essentially cutting them off from their primary food source. But..." She highlighted another sequence. The modification had an unexpected side effect. Their crystals adapted to process different wavelengths, ones that their species normally can't use. Harrison leaned closer to the screen. "Are you saying they evolved?" "Not evolved, adapted. Their defect isn't a disability, it's an advancement. Lyra can process energy sources their species never could before. They weren't cast out because they were broken, they were cast out because they were different. Because they represented change." The implications hung heavy in the air. Maya continued, her voice passionate, "This is exactly why we need to protect them. Lyra's biology could revolutionize our understanding of energy processing, genetic adaptation, and cellular evolution. But more importantly, their story could help us avoid making the same mistakes their society did." Through the window, Lyra's colors swirled with new patterns, responding to the emotions in the room. Their third set of eyes fixed on Harrison, and suddenly the director gasped, touching her temple. "They're showing me something," Harrison whispered. Their memories, their pain, but also their hope. She straightened, smoothing her jacket with slightly trembling hands. Dr. Patel, you have 48 hours to show me a viable plan for Lyra's long-term care and research integration. After that, I'll have no choice but to follow protocol. Maya felt relief flood through her. Thank you, Director. You won't regret this. As Harrison left, Maya turned back to the observation window. Lyra's colors had shifted to a warm golden hue she now recognized as gratitude. Through their mental connection, she felt rather than heard their words, others, like me, coming. Need, safe place. Maya's heart raced at the implications. This wasn't just about saving one life anymore. They were potentially establishing Earth's first alien sanctuary for genetic refugees. The challenges ahead were enormous, but looking at Lyra's gently pulsing crystals, Maya knew they were worth facing. Marcus cleared his throat. So, how exactly are we going to stabilize their condition long-term? We still don't fully understand their biology. Maya smiled, her mind already racing with possibilities. We start by thinking differently. Lyra's body adapted to process new types of energy, maybe it's time our science adapted too. Get me everything we have on quantum energy absorption and crystalline matrix engineering. And Marcus, thank you for staying. He shrugged, but his eyes were bright with excitement. Hey, how often do you get to help rewrite the books on xenobiology? As they began their work, Maya felt Lyra's consciousness brush against her mind again, sharing images of others like them, different, afraid, seeking sanctuary. Earth could become a beacon of hope for genetic refugees across the galaxy, but first, they had to prove it was possible. One alien, one mutation, one challenge at a time. The next 48 hours would determine not just Lyra's fate, but potentially the future of human-alien relations. Maya looked at her tablet, already outlining research protocols and care requirements. They had to succeed. The alternative wasn't just the loss of one life, it was the loss of everything this moment could mean for both species. A month had passed since Maya's fateful decision in the rainforest. The medical bay had been transformed into a specialized research unit, its walls now lined with crystalline energy converters designed to harness the unique wavelengths Lyra could process. But today's discovery had changed everything. Do it again, Maya requested, adjusting the quantum sensors. Lyra's crystalline structures pulsed with a brilliant amber light as they reached out toward the sealed container of degraded nuclear waste, material that had been deemed impossible to neutralize by conventional means. Before their eyes, the toxic substance began to change. The radiation readings dropped steadily as Lyra's crystals absorbed and converted the energy, transforming it into harmless matter. Maya checked the readings 3 times, hardly daring to believe what she was seeing. Their genetic modification didn't just change how they process energy, Marcus said, his voice filled with awe. It gave them the ability to transmute and purify energy forms that their species never evolved to handle. This could revolutionize how we deal with toxic waste, radiation cleanup, even energy production. Lyra's colors shifted to a pattern Maya now recognized as pride mixed with uncertainty. Their telepathic voice had grown stronger over the weeks. On my world, this ability would be seen as corruption. Mutation is feared. Change is feared. Maya approached the containment field, which they now kept active only as a precaution. Change is how species survive. Your mutation isn't a flaw, it's an evolutionary advantage. One that could benefit both our peoples. The facility's alert system suddenly blared to life. Director Harrison's voice came through the intercom, Dr. Patel, emergency meeting in the conference room. Now. Maya found not just Harrison in the conference room, but also several military officials and what appeared to be government representatives. Their expressions ranged from concern to openly hostile. We've received a transmission, Harrison began without preamble. From Lyra's species. They're coming to Earth, supposedly to retrieve their lost citizen. The room erupted in worried murmurs. Colonel Richards, the senior military officer present, stepped forward. "This is exactly what we feared. Their presence has attracted attention we're not prepared to handle." "You don't understand," Maya interjected. "We've made a breakthrough. Lyra's genetic modification gives them abilities that could solve some of humanity's biggest environmental challenges. They can neutralize radiation, purify toxic substances. All the more reason to be concerned," a government official interrupted. "If their species discovers we're harboring what they consider a genetic deviant, and that we're using their condition for our benefit, it could be seen as an act of aggression." Maya felt her frustration rising. "Or it could be an opportunity to show them they're wrong. To demonstrate that genetic diversity isn't a threat, it's an advantage. Lyra isn't just a refugee, they're proof that what their society considers a defect could actually be the key to their evolution." Through their mental connection, Maya felt Lyra's presence. Images flooded her mind, others like Lyra, hiding in the shadows of their society, their unique abilities suppressed, their potential denied. But there was something else, a growing movement, silent but strong, questioning the rigid genetic purity laws. "There's more," Maya said quietly. "Lyra isn't alone. There are others like them on their world, hiding their abilities. Their society is on the brink of change, they just need proof that different doesn't mean dangerous." Harrison studied Maya carefully. "What are you suggesting?" "Let me work with Lyra to document everything we've discovered. Let us prove that genetic diversity can benefit both species. When their people arrive, instead of hiding what we've done, we show them. We make them face the evidence that their prejudices are holding them back." Colonel Richard scoffed. "You want to lecture an advanced alien species about social justice?" "No," Maya countered. "I want to show them scientific evidence that their genetic purity laws are actually preventing their evolution. Lyra's ability to process and purify different energy forms isn't a mutation to be feared, it's an adaptation their species needs. They're facing the same energy and environmental challenges we are. Lyra's defect could be the solution both our worlds need." The room fell silent as the implications sank in. Finally, Harrison spoke, "You have 2 weeks until their estimated arrival. I want comprehensive documentation of every test, every result, every potential application. And Dr. Patel, make it convincing." Maya rushed back to the lab, her mind racing with plans. Lyra greeted her with a swirl of questioning colors. "They're coming," Maya explained, both verbally and mentally. "Your people. But this time, you won't face them alone. We're going to show them everything you can do, everything you were meant to do." Lyra's crystals pulsed with a new intensity. "Others, like me, will see?" "Yes," Maya smiled. "Your people, my people, everyone will see. But we need to prove it beyond any doubt. Are you ready?" The next 2 weeks passed in a blur of experiments and documentation. Maya and her team worked around the clock, recording every aspect of Lyra's unique abilities. They demonstrated how their modified crystal structures could not only process different energy forms but could actually improve them, purifying and transforming harmful radiation into useful energy. More surprisingly, they discovered that Lyra could teach their techniques to others. Through carefully controlled experiments, they showed how human cells exposed to Lyra's energy signature began developing similar, albeit smaller, crystalline structures. The implications were staggering, not just for waste cleanup and energy production, but for human evolution itself. As the deadline approached, Maya reviewed their findings. The evidence was irrefutable. What Lyra's people considered a dangerous mutation was actually the next step in their species' evolution. The ability to adapt to new energy sources wasn't a flaw, it was survival. "Maya," Lyra called out one evening as they finished another series of tests. "Thank you for seeing me. Not as broken as possible." Maya touched the containment field gently. You taught me something too, Lyra. Sometimes the things we fear most are exactly what we need to grow. Your people are about to learn that lesson too. The alert system chimed, their 2 weeks were up. Somewhere above Earth, Lyra's people were approaching. Soon, they would all face the ultimate test: could science and evidence overcome generations of fear and prejudice? Maya looked at their extensive documentation, at Lyra's gently pulsing crystals, and at her determined team. They were ready to find out. The alien ship hung in Earth's orbit like a crystalline snowflake, its surface refracting sunlight in patterns that mirrored Lyra's structures. Maya stood in the facility's main conference room, surrounded by diplomatic representatives from every major world power, watching the live feed from orbital satellites. They're requesting immediate transfer of their corrupted citizen, Colonel Richards announced, reading from the latest transmission. They're citing interstellar quarantine protocols and threatening sanctions if we refuse. Maya felt Lyra's fear through their mental connection, not fear of returning, but fear that everything they discovered would be buried, forgotten. Their shared discoveries about energy transformation and genetic adaptation could change both their worlds, but only if they could make Lyra's people listen. Request a formal delegation, Maya proposed. If they're invoking official protocols, they need to follow diplomatic procedures. We have rights as a sovereign planet. Director Harrison nodded slowly. Agreed. We'll host their representatives here, where we can control the environment and demonstrate our findings under controlled conditions. The response from the ship came quickly: 3 representatives would descend within the hour. Maya rushed to the lab, where Lyra's colors swirled with anxiety. The ones coming, Lyra communicated, they are from the Genetic Purity Council. They were the ones who ordered my modification. Maya felt cold anger at this revelation, but forced herself to focus. Then they're exactly who needs to see what their modification actually achieved. Are you ready? Lyra's crystals pulsed with determination. Ready to show truth. The alien delegation arrived in a flash of light that materialized in the facility's secured landing zone. 3 tall figures emerged, their crystalline structures rigid and uniform, all pulsing with the same regulated frequency. Unlike Lyra's fluid, adaptable form, they seemed almost artificially structured. The lead delegate, who introduced themselves as High Counselor Vex, spoke through a universal translator. We appreciate your world's cooperation in containing the corrupted one. We will handle their disposition according to our laws. Maya stepped forward. Before any decisions are made, we have evidence to present regarding Lyra's condition and its implications for both our species. The corrupted one's designation is Series L-13, not Lyra, another delegate corrected coldly. And their condition is well documented. Their inability to process standard energy frequencies makes them a danger to our genetic purity. What if that inability is actually an ability you haven't understood? Maya challenged. Please, observe our findings before making your judgment. In the lab, Maya and her team demonstrated everything they discovered. They showed how Lyra could process and purify energy forms that were toxic to both species. They presented data on the crystalline adaptations, the implications for evolution, and the potential applications for environmental restoration. Most importantly, Maya concluded, we've discovered that this ability can be shared. Lyra isn't a genetic dead end, they're a gateway to your species' next evolutionary step. The delegates' colors shifted rapidly as they processed this information. This is impossible, Vex stated, but their tone held a note of uncertainty. Our laws exist to prevent exactly this kind of unauthorized evolution. Laws can change, Maya argued. You modified Lyra to prevent them from processing your traditional energy sources, but in doing so, you forced their biology to adapt. To evolve. What you saw as corruption was actually innovation. Suddenly, Lyra's mental voice rang out, reaching not just Maya but all present, I am not alone. Others hide, afraid. But we are not broken. We are growing. changing. As life must. The youngest delegate's colors flickered with recognition. The underground networks, the rumors of others developing new abilities. Silence. Vex commanded, but the shift in the room was palpable. Maya pressed their advantage. Your society stands at a crossroads. You can continue to fight natural evolution, forcing your people to hide their gifts, or you can embrace change. Let us show you how Lyra's abilities could benefit both our worlds. And if we refuse? Vex challenged. If we demand their return regardless of your findings? Then you'll have to explain to your people why you're rejecting a solution to your energy crisis, Maya countered. Our broadcasts of these findings are already being transmitted to your ship. How long can you suppress the truth when the evidence is irrefutable? The delegates conferred in rapid, musical tones. Maya felt Lyra's hope and fear mingling with her own. Everything hinged on this moment, not just Lyra's fate, but the future relationship between their species. Finally, Vex turned back to them. We require time to review these findings. L-13. Lyra will remain in your custody until our council reaches a decision. And the others? Lyra asked, their mental voice strong. Those like me, hiding? For the first time, Vex's rigid posture softened slightly. Perhaps it is time for our laws to evolve as well. As the delegates prepared to return to their ship, the youngest one lingered. Their colors shifted to match Lyra's frequency for just a moment, a silent signal of solidarity. Change was coming, one mind at a time. Maya watched the delegates depart, feeling both victory and trepidation. They'd won a reprieve, but the real work was just beginning. Lyra's people would need time to accept such fundamental changes to their society. What now? Marcus asked quietly. Maya smiled, watching Lyra's crystals pulse with new energy. Now we build bridges. Between species, between differences, between what is and what could be. The universe is changing, it's time we all learn to change with it. 1 year after the delegation's visit, the research facility had transformed into Earth's first interstellar medical center. Maya stood at the observation window, watching as 3 new arrivals went through intake procedures. Their crystalline structures displayed various mutations, each one unique, each one holding new potential. Neural integration complete, Marcus announced, monitoring the latest quantum readings. That makes 47 genetic variants we've documented so far. Maya nodded, remembering how it all started with Lyra. Their first patient now served as the facility's co-director, their expertise invaluable in helping others like them. The Genetic Purity Council's decision to acknowledge and study these mutations had opened floodgates they'd never expected. Dr. Patel, a melodic voice called. Maya turned to see Lyra approaching, their colors radiating the confidence they'd gained over the past year. The Council's annual review committee has arrived. They're requesting our latest findings. The review committee consisted of both human and alien scientists, a collaboration that would have seemed impossible just a year ago. Among them was the young delegate who'd shown solidarity during that first crucial meeting, now the head of their species' newly formed Genetic Diversity Research Division. Our latest results are remarkable, Maya began, displaying holographic data streams. By studying the various mutations, we've identified 17 distinct energy processing adaptations. Each one represents a potential solution to different environmental challenges faced by both our species. The committee watched as Maya and Lyra demonstrated how they'd managed to replicate some of these adaptations in controlled environments. The implications for toxic waste cleanup, renewable energy, and environmental restoration were revolutionary. But the most significant discovery, Lyra continued, their mental voice strong and clear, is how these mutations naturally complement each other. What we once saw as corruption is actually our species' attempt to create a more adaptable, resilient population. One of the human scientists raised a hand. What about the long-term effects of mixing these genetic variants? Maya smiled, pulling up another dataset. That's where it gets interesting. When individuals with different mutations work in proximity, their crystalline structures begin to harmonize. They don't lose their unique abilities, they enhance each other's. The evidence was undeniable. The facility had become a living laboratory of evolution in action, proving that diversity wasn't just beneficial, it was essential for survival. A commotion at the entrance drew their attention. A new arrival was being brought in, their crystals pulsing erratically. Maya recognized the pattern. They were like Lyra had been, modified to prevent normal energy processing. But unlike a year ago, they weren't facing rejection and fear. They were being welcomed into a community that understood and valued their difference. Begin intake procedures, Maya ordered, falling into the familiar routine. Lyra, would you assist? They'll need a friendly face. As Lyra moved to help the newcomer, Maya felt a surge of pride. The facility had grown beyond anything she'd imagined that rainy day in the Amazon. It wasn't just a medical center, it was a symbol of what could be achieved when fear gave way to understanding. The young council member who'd supported them from the beginning approached Maya. We've received reports from 17 other worlds facing similar genetic diversification. They're requesting guidance on establishing facilities like this one. Maya watched as Lyra helped stabilize the new arrival's energy patterns, their crystals synchronizing in a beautiful display of adaptive harmony. Tell them we're ready to share everything we've learned. It's time to take this beyond Earth. The implications were staggering. What had started as one act of compassion was spreading across the galaxy, challenging centuries of genetic prejudice. The facility had become a beacon of hope, proving that difference wasn't a flaw to be corrected, it was an opportunity to be embraced. Later that evening, Maya found Lyra in their private research lab, where they continued to explore new applications for their unique abilities. Did you ever imagine this? Maya asked, gesturing to the bustling facility around them. When you crashed in that rainforest, did you think it would lead to all this? Lyra's colors shifted to a pattern Maya now recognized as deep contentment. I hoped, not for myself, but for others like me. For all those who were told their differences made them less. Now they know, different makes us more. Maya touched the crystal pendant she wore, a gift from Lyra, attuned to their unique energy frequency. It served as a constant reminder of how far they'd come and how far they could still go. The Council has approved our expansion proposal, Maya shared. We'll be opening sister facilities on 3 more planets within the year. Lyra's response was both mental and verbal, a harmony they'd perfected over their time working together. And each one will be a step toward a future where no one has to hide who they are. Where evolution isn't feared, but celebrated. Through the facility's windows, Earth's sunset painted the sky in colors that reminded Maya of Lyra's shifting patterns. Somewhere out there, others were looking up at different skies, wondering if they too would find acceptance. Thanks to one crashed ship and one act of compassion, they would. The facility's alert system chimed softly, another arrival was incoming. Maya and Lyra moved together toward the intake area, ready to welcome another unique being into their growing community of acceptance and discovery. Different makes us more, Maya repeated Lyra's words, watching their crystals pulse in sync with the facility's energy systems. It always has. We just needed to be brave enough to see it. The universe, it seemed, had been waiting for exactly this moment, when fear of difference gave way to celebration of diversity, when mutation became innovation, and when 2 species learned that the key to evolution wasn't purity, but adaptation. And it all started with one choice, one rainy day in the Amazon, when someone chose to see possibility where others saw only danger. As Maya and Lyra prepared to welcome their newest arrival, they knew that choice would be made again and again, spreading hope across the stars, one mutation, one difference, one life at a time.